Most people think that the story of their life doesn't amount to a hill of beans. Are you one of those? Then this is for you.
Welcome to the show. Tired of the hype about living the dream? It's time for truth. This is the place for tools, power, and real talk so you can create the life you dream and deserve. Your ultimate life. Subscribe, share, create. You have infinite power.
Hello there and welcome to Your Ultimate Life. The podcast created to help you live that ultimate life. Purpose, prosperity, and joy. Do you live that? I don't know. But if you do, you're blessed. Not because luck happened and things happened to you, but you're blessed because you've learned the secret. The secret is how to create life you love. Now, this is something we hear. I say a lot here, but I'm going to say it again because it bears repeating, even if you listen to every episode, which I hope you do. And so I invite you to listen, to subscribe, and to share. Subscribe to the podcast. Share it with someone that needs to believe, that needs to be loved, that needs to be cared about, that needs to be encouraged about how to create income, impact, and live a joyful life, because you deserve it and you can have it. You absolutely deserve it. You and I, we were created to have joy. We were created to make the most of ourselves. The frustration often comes when we think it ought to happen like that. And it ought to be magic, and it ought to be not so hard, and bad things shouldn't happen, and why is this happening to me, right? When that kind of stuff happens, it's like there's no God, he's a creep, he's mean, or other people, or the universe, or whatever sucks, and, life sucks, and then you die. That kind of thing, and that's not true. It's never true. Although sometimes it seems like it's harder than it ought to be. We'll get into that another time, about that ought to be. Who decides how hard it ought to be? I guess the goal decides how hard it ought to be. When you think about training to run a marathon, you can say the training's too hard. But if the goal is to make it through the marathon, then it's as hard as it needs to be in order to get in shape aerobically and with lung capacity and your muscles and everything else to accomplish that feat. So we'll talk about that another time. Today, I want to talk about your story. Now, we've been talking about your story for some episodes, and we talked about what it actually is. And it isn't an autobiography, and it isn't a trauma dump, and it isn't that, right? It's the tracking and sharing of those events that shaped your life into the beautiful, capable, powerful, wonderful being you are right now. If I say all that and it bothers you and you say, I'm not a beautiful, capable, powerful, wonderful being, well, that's just your opinion. I believe you are. In fact, I've never met anybody who isn't. Every single person is divine and has capability, and most of the folks that come into the show or into my orbit or anything are people who are trying to live powerful and good lives. They're trying to add good to the world. They have as a focus doing things that matter, not just eating and making some cash. Now, I know that there are exceptions to that, and maybe lots, but you're not one of them. You're one of those people who's trying to add good to the world. I know that about you, or you wouldn't be listening to this show about ultimate life. So how do you create a life of purpose, prosperity, and joy? Well, you discover, develop, and serve with your gifts, your skills, and your life experience. It's as simple as that. Your gifts, your skills, and your life experience will give you access to the thing that will make you the most cash, the most money, and having the most fun and having the largest impact. Now, I don't know about you, but that's like a dream world. Living a life where I make the most money, have the most impact, and have the most fun. Whoa. Well, that's available. That's not some airy-fairy thing. And that's the whole point of the podcast. So today we're talking about the developmental story and why people think it doesn't amount to jack. Now, again, your story is that process of development that brought you to the place where you want to live this ultimate life, that brought you to the place where you really want to serve. I want to help people. People say that all the time. And the way you do it's completely different than the way anybody else on the planet would do it. Isn't that fun? Oh, yum. Yummity yum. Okay, so when you look at how you got where you are, I call that the story of your becoming. It's not saying we're perfect. Nobody is. But you are at a place right now where you want to serve, you want to add good to the world, you want to get paid doing it, right? And you can have that. And the way to do it is to use your developmental story. Now, we talked about it in the last few episodes, what that is, why it matters, the ones that didn't have guests. But you know what? No matter, even though I know you have a powerful story that could make you $1 million, I know that. I absolutely know that with every fiber of my being. And if you don't know how to do that, go here, Your Ultimate Life Podcast, yourultimatelifepodcast.com. Use a contact form. Get a hold of me. Let me show you how you can make $1 million with your story. It's not that hard. It does require dedication, perseverance, faith, belief. It's not going to be snapping your fingers and waving a wand. If you're looking for that, you're in the wrong place. But there's a path to do it. And it's the easiest path to making $1 million. Income, impact, and having a great time doing it. And with all that, most people don't believe it. And you listen right now, you're probably going, no way, not me. He's talking to somebody else. Okay. You can live that way, and then you're going to live your life and realize you could have done it and never did it. But there are some really specific reasons why people get in this place where they believe with all their hearts their story doesn't matter. that developmental story and how you got where you are and the skills and gifts that you have right now, that it really doesn't matter. Nobody would care. Nobody would read your book, buy your products, or call you to speak, or nobody would really do that because you don't matter that much. So let's talk about the reasons, and I want you to think about and write down which ones are yours. And more than writing them down, because I can identify the symptoms of an illness that I have. If I don't do anything about them, it won't get better, right? Or if I'm overweight, or if I have low iron, or whatever. I can identify the symptoms, and if I don't take action, obviously nothing happens, and so I'm the same. One thing, number one, the insidious lie of, it's no big deal, it was just my life. Who cares? It's just my life, like it was no big deal. That's a dangerous falsehood. Not because it wasn't your life, because it was. But in that dismissive way where you go, it's no big deal, it was just my life, what you've decided already is that nobody would find or see or feel that the challenges you had and the decisions you made to get past the challenge as a map for their own growth. What you're saying is nobody would care and nobody would see your story as their lifeline. Nobody would hear you share and think, wow, I could do that too. Nobody would hear you and say, I didn't know anyone else felt, thought, saw what I see. Wow. Maybe if they can, I can. We take away all that opportunity by saying, wasn't that big, or something silly like other people had it worse. You know what? That's subjective. And there's always people with more money and less money, more trouble, less trouble, worse, better. That doesn't matter. Here's the thing to listen to. Hear this. It's unique. It's different. And when you combine the actual differences of your experiences and story with your unique voice, your unique way of speaking and telling and being, you have a radically different, unmatched, unparalleled gift to add to the world. But people don't. They say, everybody goes through stuff. So what? Or something like, I'm not special, or who would care, or I'm still figuring things out. I'm not done. Nobody is. No, I don't know how to scream this loud enough. Where you are right now makes a difference. The things you've done up to now, right now, can be somebody's treasure map to X marks the spot. Okay, so you dismiss the story because you lived it. Familiarity makes the miracles of your life feel normal, and the gold that you have, you think it becomes worthless because it's buried in your own backyard. You know the story Acres of Diamonds, about finding that big diamond mine on his own property. Okay, so that's one reason. The second reason is we minimize the things that formed us. It's a variant of the first, but the first one says nobody else would care. The second one is we minimize the fire you have been through. I call it the ravages of adversity, the fury of injustice, the pain of loneliness. Those are real crucible fires. They're powerful, sometimes almost intolerable. Right now, if I ask you, have you been through things that were so hard, either physically or emotionally, that you thought you were going to die, or that you wished that you would simply fricking evaporate and not have to feel them? I know you have. Loneliness so great, abandonment so acute, abuse so terrible, betrayal so painful that you thought, I can't do this. I simply can't do it. And yet, we minimize that, again, by saying others had it worse, or make subjective decisions that, so what? Those fires, and I just referred to the big ones, the soul-stretching, dark night of the soul, right at the limit ones, but even the easier ones, the ones where you repeatedly made choices about who you are and what you're going to do and how you show up in the world, where you repeatedly decided, I'm not that person, I won't do that. Those are the things that matter the most. Now, you might minimize because, well, I adapted to it. I got through it. I survived it. Or you might be comparing pain to someone else. Now, I don't normally do that. I have a story, and you know a lot of it. I've shared it over the years on the show. This is our 7th year, by the way. Isn't that fun? Anyway, there's once or twice where I've heard someone's story where I've simply been blown away. I've simply said, I can't even imagine. Been absolutely blown away. But I don't need to be blown away in order for it to be super valuable for some people, because your path is someone else's treasure map. So don't compare your pain. Each of us has exactly the same level of challenge compared to our ability and the uniqueness of our lives. Another reason people minimize it is they're afraid of sounding dramatic. Well, you know what? I love drama. I don't mean drama in terms of drama about handling day to day, but telling dramatic stories and sharing things. So who cares? The person that needs your story needs to understand the depth. Another reason people do that is they don't want to be seen as arrogant. So people have a difficulty and they get through it and they tell the story, and someone might think, well, you arrogant pig, just because you did it doesn't mean I can't. It's not the point either. The point is you might be able to help somebody, maybe not that person. Somebody thinking I'm arrogant or you're arrogant, I can't do anything about that. And so worrying that somebody is going to think you're arrogant is silly. Another reason people minimize it is they confuse humility with hiding. They think hiding is being humble, and it's not. Truth is powerful, and how you tell the story or use your development is completely the determining factor. And here's another reason, and this is a really powerful one, so I'm going to slow down because I want you to get this. We minimize our story because we haven't yet extracted the value or the meaning. One of the books that I wrote called The Story Arc, I've showed it before, this book right here. This is a book that I wrote exactly to help you extract the meaning not just catalog events, but extract the meaning. And by extracting the meaning, that means you create products, services, books, talks, speeches, workshops, retreats, coaching programs, right? That can you then use to monetize. And a last reason is sometimes people are still too close to the event. So minimizing your story sometimes looks like humility, but it's not. It might be fear that somebody's going to not understand or laugh. It might be, any of the things that we just listed above. So true humility that's not hiding says, this event or this circumstance that I got through doesn't make me superior. It gave me something to serve with. And I can refuse to serve with it, but it did give you a tool that's powerful to serve with. False humility says, I need to stay small. False humility also says it probably doesn't matter. Or it says somebody else should say it. Truth is you should say it, and you should serve with it. Humility is not hiding the gift. Humility is using the gift in true service. You don't honor your gifts. You don't honor your past by pretending it produced nothing when it has forged you into the beautiful being you are this minute. Minimization is ingratitude. It's just total ingratitude with prettier clothes. Okay, another trap that people jump into is the deal that says, well, other people had it worse. And I say it with that affected voice because that's stupid. Literally, I'm being harsh. I know it. I don't know. Maybe you had somebody slapped you, physical abuse, some minor stuff, and someone was, beat within an inch of their life. Yeah, that is a more severe beating. And the context and the resources around them and all that stuff all matter. But here's the thing. This life was designed to build us. And so my challenges are uniquely tailored to my capacity. And they're designed to stretch me right to my limit, and so are yours. So other people had it worse is not even a meaningful phrase. Because that's like looking at Facebook and saying other people are smarter, richer, and therefore better than I am. Yeah, there's going to be people smarter than me and less smart than me, more wealthy than me and less wealthy than me. That has nothing to do with value or better or worse. Those are simply circumstances. Everything is determined by what we do with our smarts or our cash or our connections. How we use those things to serve is all that matters. How we parade gifts, good fortune, that's disgusting arrogance and stupidity. It's a waste of gift. It's a waste of your life. And if you've been doing that up until now, and I certainly had my years doing that, it's not an indictment, it's an invitation to consider how to serve with what you have instead of strut or brag or lift yourself up. When we do that, we're just being arrogant and demonstrating this insecurity. So here's the reason. People disqualify themselves from writing books, telling their story, using their developmental process in service. They disqualify themselves because somebody else's pain seemed bigger. Well, maybe it was. You know what? There's always going to be someone who suffered more visibly than I did or you did. And so that may be absolutely true, but that doesn't cancel the truth that you learned and that the skill or development that you earned, the truth you earned, the truth of your becoming. Because every time we go through some crap, we become someone new. If we let it ruin us, we become someone bitter, jaded, hurt people, right? If, on the other hand, we come through, get the help we need, and we come through with resilience and power, and more graceful and humble and kind and forgiving, boy, have we developed. Every time that happens, we become someone new. Your authority isn't based on winning the trauma Olympics. I know sometimes people tell their story in comas and near death and falling out of cars and just horrific abuse and on and on and on. We're not in the trauma Olympics. There's no prizes given. None. Nobody's going to say they won. Here's what it is based on. Your authority is based on integration. How well did you integrate the lessons of what you learned? It's based on the honesty with which you or I can talk about these things, not as a trauma dump, but as a model or sharing how to use them. Okay. Your authority is based on your usefulness. Usefulness is zero when we hide who we are and how we got here. Your authority is based on your clarity. One thing I see often in people creating product services, writing books, and doing that kind of stuff is they refuse to be clear. They want everything to be oblique and opaque because they're afraid to be clear, to claim the truth they know, to claim the truth of what happened. And I'm not talking about shouting or blaming. I'm talking about your own experience and how you developed. The other thing your authority is based on is how you serve, like your willingness to serve. And because people often connect more easily with someone whose story tends to be close to them, then you don't need the worst story. You need the most integrated story. Like someone's going to connect with you because you sound, wow, I went through that. I don't care what I or somebody went through. If it's way worse, it's way over there, something completely different. It's not going to connect with certain people. But if you have an experience or set of experiences that mirrors someone else's life, they're going to have rapport. They're going to listen to you. They're going to want to know how you did that, how you got past that, how you got where you are. Pain comparison is one of the most sophisticated ways to stay silent. So don't do that. There's no need to compare battle scars, okay? Somebody doesn't need to have suffered the most. We need to share honestly what we have overcome and share the truth about what we know. Okay, so now we've had several reasons why people hide. People don't want to share their stories. They're afraid, and all those things that we talked about. And sometimes it's just plain old fear. Fear of being judged, fear of being laughed at, fear of being told it's not that big of a deal. All that kind of stuff is there too. And the truth is, what someone who says that to you, they don't matter. Someone who says that to you is projecting their own fear and weakness, and they're jealous because you have the courage to speak. So speak boldly, speak clearly, aim for those who you can help, and no comparison. So now let's talk about why your story matters so much to others. Here's some reasons. One, when you share a story about your own becoming, not any story, but specifically that story of your challenges that helped you become who you are, people feel seen. They immediately realize they're not alone. They take big steps to understanding themselves. When they get to see how you or I went through a circumstance and they're facing something similar, then they can understand their own reactions and feelings and see choices they couldn't see otherwise. It might shorten their suffering. Wouldn't we be glad to do that? It might help them avoid repetition or name a pattern for them that they haven't seen that lets them make a new decision, makes them or gives them the opportunity to take ownership. You might invite them to trust their own calling, because if you're sharing the story of your becoming, they might say, wow, I could do that. That's one of the most wonderful things when we connect our own shared humanity. It helps someone step into their courage. If they can share it, I can do it. I was scared to death and now I'm willing. You're going to invite someone to create something new, just like you are, by sharing what you have. Okay, so your story doesn't need mass approval to have massive impact. It doesn't need to go viral to be sacred. It just needs usefulness. So the question to ask isn't, is this going to go viral? And am I going to be on, Good Morning America or whatever? The better question is, who can I help? It's not going to serve everyone. You're not speaking to everyone. You're not speaking to skeptics. You're not speaking to cynics. You're not speaking to people who are hating stories or hate you for sharing or any of that. You're speaking to those that are the right people, because the right people will recognize the truth before you finish the story, before you finish the sentence. Okay? Your story isn't for everyone. That's why it can become powerful. It's narrowly aimed. And here's the cool thing. I don't care how narrowly aimed your story is. I really don't. There are millions of people who will resonate. Hear that. Millions of people who will benefit and be served. From that, you can make income, impact, and have a joyous time. I promise. I've done it. I know it. I've helped lots of people do it. Again, if you want help, yourultimatelifepodcast.com. Contact form, get a hold of me. Let me show you how to do this. I've shown a lot of people, and this is one of the pieces of work that I do. Okay. Now, I want to change topics just a little bit. Here's the cost. I want you to consider the cost of staying silent, the cost of you or I believing that it doesn't matter, because there's a real cost. It's not just, well, I get to stay safe and I don't have to put myself out there and I don't have to do that. The yearning that you have to serve is divine. It comes from your divine nature. All of us are that, right? So here's the consequences of not sharing your story. The book, The Story of Your Becoming, doesn't get written. The message that you have stays vague, non-specific, and therefore non-helpful. The offer that you can make to truly help people never forms. Here's what I see all the time, and this breaks my heart. I see people, many, hundreds, personally met, who are, coaches, consultants, some kind of coach, and they say, I can help you get out of your own way. I can help you step into your power. I can help you remove your blocks, barriers, and, remove the spells. Some guy calls them spells. I can help you do all that. And yet when I listen to them or read their material, what I see is vague and non-specific messaging. I don't see clear and powerful frameworks. I don't see repeatable processes. And I don't see the true help that helps people, even those who resonate, get actually the benefit of the story. Because the message isn't clear and the power isn't in the story. They've been afraid to be authentic and sharing vulnerably, and that's where the power is. It isn't in some vague nonsense. And so if you don't get the book written or, clarity around what you truly offer and do, you never get a real offer that forms. It's powerful. And so you end up selling $100 and $200 products instead of $10,000 products. You have a $10,000 product in you right now, maybe a $20,000, maybe a $50,000. You have that. I promise. The only question is, are you willing to make it? Are you willing to create it? Are you willing to do the work, show the vulnerability, tell the story, write the book, create the process that will give you both the authority and the truth to cut through the bullshit and offer people real help that's worth tons of money? So your authority, when you don't do the work, stays buried. Even though you have it, it stays covered up. The income path stays weaker, like I just described. You want to create a $50,000 offer? You can. Let me show you how if you want. I mean, you don't have to use my help, but hear my assurance that you have it, and it's going to stay buried until you do the work of uncovering the story of your becoming. The cost of silence is personal, it's financial, it's spiritual. You're costing other people growth, you're costing other people happiness, and you're costing your bank account millions. If you're okay with that, then stay right where you're at. If you're not okay with that, get a hold of me, yourultimatelifepodcast.com. Use the contact form or go here. Dream, Build, Write It. DreamBuildWriteIt.com. That's a book challenge. Do it twice a year, sometimes 3 times, but usually twice a year. I will help you mine your story, refine your story, write your book, publish your book, create products and services that you can sell and show you how to monetize, cash in pocket, programs, speaking opportunities, coaching programs, seminars, workshops, whatever you want to create. I've done them all. I can show you, unless you don't want to. But that's the cost. Economic, your impact goes down to nothing. And your personal wish and love to serve and help others gets ignored. Silence is not neutral. It really isn't neutral when your truth could be serving many. And I want you to think about that. And remember, you're not the only one paying for your hiding. That's a scary thought. You are not the only one paying for your hiding. Okay. Now I want to move to a different topic. It's a topic of invitation, because I work with, I help people write books. I put people on my podcast. This is a solo episode. If you got a story you want to share, I want to share it. I've got a huge audience, top 3% in the world. You want to share your story? Get a hold of me. I love having people with purpose, passion, a desire to serve, and I love being your megaphone. I love that. I love interviewing people and helping share their story of becoming with the audience. Why? So those in the audience who resonate with you can get a hold of you, follow you, buy things from you, get helped by you. That's why I love doing that. My mission and message is to reach 300 million people. 300 million people is not a trivial amount, and I can't reach everybody with my story. I don't know that there's 300 million people that would resonate with my message. But I know for absolute sure that with the hundreds of guests that I've had over the years, way more than 300 million people will resonate with the combined messages. That's for sure, without question, in the tiniest way, without even the tiniest of questions. So if you got a story you want to share, yourultimatelifepodcast.com contact form. If you want to learn how to write your book and mine your story and turn it into products and services so you can make the impact, the income, and have the fun you want, and dream, build, write, it's where you go. So I want you to remember what I said a second ago, because we often say it's not the right time. We often say, I don't have time. We often say, I don't know how. We often say the things I said at the beginning. Nobody would listen. It's not that big. It's already been said. Somebody else should tell the story. We say all those things, and none of them are true. This is your invitation right here, right now, to step out of fear, to step out of shadow, to step out of the excuses that you don't matter. You do. You're amazing. You matter a lot. If you stay in obscurity, no one will know that. If you choose to create and share the truths that you know, the story of your own becoming, the things that you've learned from the struggles you have overcome, that is gold, pure 26-karat gold. I'm teasing. I know 24 is as big as it gets. But it is. It's pure gold. And you know what I found? When I tried to make money doing many different internet marketing opportunities, because I wanted to work from home, the ones I tried to do them, and I realized I can learn the skill to do this thing and make it work. I knew I could learn the skill and do the thing to make it work and make good money. But the passion wasn't there. I don't want to make money just any old way. I want to make clean money. And I don't mean that there's anything wrong with those things, but it felt sort of utilitarian to me. I don't want money just for money's sake. I want tons of money, but I want it because I made a big difference for you. I want money to be measured by the impact, the way people's lives are changed, the way people's joy is elevated, the way their purpose becomes clear. Like my message is to reach 300 million and help you understand your own purpose and what to do with it. Finding your purpose isn't anything. I use the acronym WIPOS: worth, identity, possibility, ownership, and sovereignty. If you know your worth as infinite and you don't do anything with that knowledge, it's nothing. If you know your identity as a divine being, a child of God, and you do nothing with it, it doesn't matter. If you know your infinite possibility and you feel that and you do nothing with it, you can't change the world. If you claim ownership of your life and your choice is do nothing, you've wasted your gifts and talents. If you realize that you're the sovereign designer of your existence and how you show up in the world, and you do nothing and you design a shack, then you're going to live in a shack. But the truth is, because you have infinite worth and you're a divine being and your possibilities are limitless, and you own every aspect of your life and you're the sovereign designer, because that's true, you can live a life of purpose, prosperity, and joy. You can live a life of purpose, prosperity, and joy. I know it. I've seen it. I do it. I live it. I love you. I'm inviting you with all my heart to consider your choice here. Now, if you hear this and you say, I believe you, but I don't know how, well, you need to talk to somebody that does know how. And whether you talk to me or not, it's time to get off your butt. It's time to rearrange your schedule. It's time to give up some things and begin new things, to increase your confidence, your capability, your power, your reach, and your cash. I've given you 3 invitations. If you want to talk to me about getting help, yourultimatelife.podcast.com, contact form. If you want to talk to me about being on the show because you got a cool story to share, yourultimatelife.podcast.com, get a contact form. I want to hear you. If you want to learn how to write your book, create products and services, dream, build, write it. I want to end with the certainty, the absolute certainty that I love you. You're a divine being. I can help you if you want it. But whether you use me or some other method, don't stay small. Tell your story. Get over the excuses we talked at the beginning. It does matter. It will save people. It will save people trouble. It will show them the path. It's not too small. It's powerful. You matter. And if you choose to go down that road of mattering, my discovery is that's the fastest way to get to create, to live your ultimate life.
Never hold back and you'll never ask why. Open your heart and this time around.
Right here, right now. Your opportunity for massive growth is right in front of you. Every episode gives you practical tips and practices that will change everything. If you want to know more, go to KellanFluckigerMedia.com. If you want more free tools, go here, yourultimatelife.ca. Subscribe, share.
Stand with your heart.